How is the right to self-determination reflected in the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples? What are the normative elements specified? In the declaration, there are 9 preambular and 15 operative paragraphs dealing with consent, consultation, partnership, and participation of indigenous peoples in a democracy. Thus, the text recognizes in Articles 3 and 4 that, quote, indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination. By that right, they can freely determine their political status and pursue their economic, cultural, and social development. And in Article 4, quote, indigenous peoples in exercising their right to self-determination, they have the right to autonomy or self-government in matters relating to their internal and local affairs, as well as ways and means for financing their autonomous functions, unquote. The state must not interfere within the indigenous peoples and their communities. As the original 1970s to 1980s study on the problem of discrimination against indigenous populations points out on page 97, quote, non-interference with traditional political institutions has been termed of supreme importance for the orderly and harmonious existence of indigenous communities. Any interference in such matters has disastrous consequences which disorganize and destabilize indigenous communities by preventing them from functioning normally as such, unquote. The declaration states that indigenous peoples have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinct political, legal, economic, and social and cultural institutions while retaining their rights to participate fully, if they so choose, in the political, economic, social, and cultural life of the state. They have the right to determine their own membership. Self-identification of a group is crucial and has legal, political, and moral significance. The principle and right of indigenous peoples' free, prior, and informed consent must be respected by the state. This is the strictest standard articulated in the declaration for a number of issues of fundamental significance for indigenous peoples. Free, prior, and informed consent is not the same as consultation or participation. So, how do specific indigenous peoples today exercise their right to self-determination, including the right to autonomy? The question also touches on the issue of legal pluralism, which is itself part of the exercise of the right to self-determination. Indigenous peoples exercise their right to autonomy in many different ways. Recent studies, including by the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues and the UN Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, have shown that examples abound of a wealth of practices where indigenous peoples shape their own destinies and govern themselves. From the Inuit and the Sami in the Arctic, the Wampis in Peru, the Ayutla de los Libres in Mexico, the Limbu in Nepal, to the Laikipia Maasai in Kenya, to the indigenous peoples in Sakha in Russia. Examples have been recorded of systems of autonomous governance that persist, develop, and move forward in the exercise of what many indigenous peoples have called fate control. And this, despite many challenges posed by state action or inaction, as well as the pressures and negative practices of corporations, especially the extractive industries.